evening. Hello, everyone. My name is Gunjan, and I'm from Aussizz Group in Melbourne. And we are live here. I have also got Rajan, who is also a registered migration agent from Perth office. Rajan, you can say hello to everyone.
Hello, everyone.
Thank you. So, everyone, we are here live now to talk about the most important area of migration, which is general skilled migration. Now, we will talk about different states. I will talk about Victoria, the regional and the metro, which is 190, and New South Wales, different regional areas, eligibility factors. And Rajan will talk about Western Australia and touch up on the Queensland state sponsorship as well. We are going to provide a couple of eligibility information, and if you have any questions, feel free to ask, and we'll try to answer as much as we can. Now, when we talk about state sponsorships, it's general skilled migration. You need to be first eligible in your nominated occupation. There are different criteria for different states. The issues most of the clients are facing right now and they're worried about is that Victoria at the moment is only nominating candidates in health, medical research, life scientist, agriculture, food, and digital sector. When we talk about the point system, first of all, the eligibility is that you must score a minimum of 65 points on the skill select. If you have less than 65 points, you are not eligible to apply for an expression of interest. The expression of interest you must apply in order to be nominated by the state, and then get the invitation for the visa to be applied. For the regional area, for the 491, the eligibility is at the moment has not changed. It's been the same since the critical sector issues have started. You must be currently employed in a regional Victoria in a highly skilled occupation. Like I mentioned, the highly skilled occupations are health, medical research, life sciences, agriculture, food, and digital. The reason that they have picked these sectors is because they want only the people to be nominated is that the people who are contributing to the economic recovery or health sector. If you have been working in the sector for the last 3 months and you are living in the regional area of Victoria, like Ballarat, Geelong, you can check the postcodes as well for you to check your eligibility. Then you must apply for the state sponsorship and make use of this opportunity. Now, the problem is that people are thinking that only if I'm a doctor, if I'm a nurse, or I will be only sponsored, I cannot apply for 491, which is not correct. There are a lot of other areas that need to be explored. For example, if you're working like in IT occupations as a developer programmer or anything that is related to digital. When we talk about digital sector, that is a very broad area. So, for example, if you are an IT graduate and if you have a job and you're doing coding, programming, or anything related to robotics or automation technologies, anything that related to cloud computing. So it is not just the title, it is also the tasks and the roles and responsibilities that you're performing in the company. So digital sector is quite wide. So I would encourage the IT graduates, the IT people who are working in the nominated occupation to contact us, and then we can check the eligibility. Now, when we talk about the couple of research, the medical research, that also has a very broad category. So the research assistants can be healthcare sales, like there are a lot of sales people in the healthcare sector. So you can also be eligible for 491 if you're working in a regional area. For example, biochemist, clinical research associates, even if you're working as a research assistant or a microbiologist. So there are a lot of broad areas in these listed sectors, health, medical research. So if you go to the website, it does not give you all information about the sectors that you might be eligible for. We will be able to assess your eligibility looking at your tasks and duties, and you must make use of this opportunity. Now, this is the part for the 491, which is the regional sector. Again, I say that you must be living and working in the regional area for 3 months. When we talk about working, I've already explained you the kind of work that you should be doing. When we talk about living, you must provide your lease bills, water bill, electricity bill to prove that you're living in a regional area. If you are not on the lease, don't worry. There are other ways to prove that you are a resident in the regional area as well. When you talk about employment, the employer must be supporting you. They should be able to give you an employment reference letter that explaining how you are contributing to the business and to the economic recovery. Now coming to the 190, which is a permanent residency, like 491 is a residence. 190 is a permanent residency. There's a separate requirement. There's a difference between the 491 and the 190 state requirements, the eligibility requirements. Like 491, you must be living and working for 3 months. For 190, you must be living and working in Victoria for at least 6 months. Similarly, you'll have to provide residency proof, your lease agreement, your bills of ongoing residence for 6 months. Regarding the employment, at the moment, similar to the regional area, Metro Victoria also has the same requirement for medical research, health sciences. But keeping in mind, as I explained, don't restrict yourself if these keywords, when you read these keywords on the website, don't get scared and restrict yourself from applying for state sponsorship if you are little bit connected to the economic recovery. So you must take the opportunity. If you think you're eligible, don't waste your time. You can contact us to check the eligibility. Now, this is about the Victoria. At the moment, currently, Victoria is actively nominating candidates for nurses, PhD graduates, midwifery registered nurses in aged care, critical care and emergency mental health. These are the prioritized occupations. However, like I mentioned, if you are in the other areas as well, you must apply for the 491 state sponsorship. The reason that I'm stressing on that you should put in your EOI because every state has a quota and limited number of places. The sooner you apply for your expression of interest or an ROI for the regional Victoria state, you have chances to be invited because they have limited number of seats available. Now, we can talk about other states as well in some time. Now, I will let Rajan explain you the requirements for Western Australia. And then we can talk about other states and feel free to ask questions in between as well. Yes, Rajan, you can introduce yourself and start with that.
Thank you, Gunjan, and thank you for giving such a detailed explanation of the Victorian State Nomination Program. Hello, friends. I'm here to talk about. I'm based in Aussizz, Perth. I'm a registered migration agent here. I'm here to talk about WA State Nomination Program. Well, WA State Nomination Program has actually got 2 streams in it. One is graduate stream and one is general stream. Now, under the graduate stream, the major basic criteria is that you have to have studied in WA for at least 2 years. Now, the bulk of the occupations which are under the WA occupation list are under the graduate stream. There's another stream, general stream, in which there are not many occupations available. There are only around 15 occupations in that list. But the bulk of the occupations are under the graduate stream. And as I said earlier, the basic criteria under the graduate stream is that you have to have studied in WA for at least 2 years. So if you haven't studied in WA for 2 years, you would not be eligible for WA state nomination under most of the occupations. Obviously, there's other criteria as well under the graduate stream where you have to have 7 each for most of the occupations, except for the occupation chef, where you could you only need to have competent English, which is 6 each. You have to have either 6 months of work experience in your nominated occupation, which could be part-time as well, but has to be post-qualification, or you need to have a 6 months full-time job offer letter in your nominated occupation as well in WA. So if you fulfill all of this criteria where you have studied in WA for 2 years, you've either got the work experience or the job offer letter, you've got 7 each, and I'm just gonna tell you about the invitation round that happened last month in a minute's time. But this is the general criteria. If you fulfill this criteria, you would mostly be eligible for WA state nomination. Now, under the general stream, you have to have either 1 year of Australian experience that you can claim points for, or 3 years of overseas experience that you can claim points for in your nominated occupation. So if you do not have that 1 year Australian experience or 3 years overseas experience, then you would not be eligible under the general stream. Obviously, the occupations under the general stream are not available under the graduate stream and vice versa. So we've got registered nurses under the general stream, but not the registered nurse NEC or registered nurse aged care. So most of the registered nurses are occupations such as RN perioperative, RN mental health, RL critical care, and similar. So if you have skills assessment for one of these occupations and have got 1 year of Australian experience or 3 years of overseas experience in any of the registered nurses occupations, because all the registered nurses occupations are closely related to each other, you could actually nominate yourself under the general stream as well in WA. Under the graduate stream, it was only last month that WA gave its first invitation round after about a gap of 8 months, like after the start of this financial year. Now they had, as you already are aware, they had taken out accounting from the list. Like they had taken out accounting general, they had taken out a taxation accountant, management accountant, and they had taken most of the teachers out of the list as well. But one of the accounting occupations that is still on the list is finance manager. So if you can fulfill the criteria of the finance manager's criteria, which is the same, which is the 7 each, a job offer letter or work experience, 2 years of study, you can still get the assessment for the finance manager on the basis of your studies in accounting and nominate yourself under WA. Now, in the last invitation round, WA, as far as the higher education sector is concerned, I don't think WA gave invitations to anybody who was sitting under 80 points. I'm not aware of any invitation, at least. So people who had done their masters or PhDs and were sitting at 80 points or above, I think all of them got invited. Nobody less than 80 got invited. Nobody who had done bachelor's got invited. And in the vet sector, people who had done an advanced diploma got invited at 65 points. But people who had just done a diploma in the vet sector only got invited at pretty high points, which could be as high as 85 to 90 points. Now, obviously, this, as I said, this was the first round after a gap of 8 months. Now, the way WA works is it does not necessarily select the higher points first in the EOI. So there's a different criteria under which the WA invites people. So in the higher education sector, somebody who's done a PhD or a master's will be invited first, will be invited before a bachelor's, even if the bachelor's candidate has more points than a master's applicant. So somebody, let's say a master's is standing at 70 points and the bachelor's, the person who's done a bachelor's is standing at 85 points, still the masters will get invited first because that's how their invitation rounds are based. This is the criteria, how they invite people. And in the vet sector, they invite people who've done an advanced diploma first, then a diploma, then they'll invite anybody who's done a diploma or a Cert 4 or a Cert 3. And then the points of the EOI will be considered. So people who've studied at a higher level, both in the higher education sector or in the vet sector, would be given preference. But having said that, obviously, because this was the first round after a gap of 8 months, since people who had in the vet sector, people who would have done the advanced diploma, all of them would have got invited in this round. So I'm hoping in the next invitation round, people with a diploma will get invited, start getting invitations as well with much lesser points than they got invited in the last invitation round. Obviously, because in the last invitation round, my study is that people with 85 to 90 points with a diploma got invited, but this point score must come down in this invitation round or in the next invitation round. So WA has around 1,400 places for this financial year. I think they've given out around 350 invites in this invitation, in the last invitation round. So obviously around 200 of them were from the higher education sector, 100 of them around 100 of them were from the vet sector, and I would say 50 of them would be around from the general stream. So it's quite a big number. If you think of how many months they are left with in the year, I think WA has got quite many seats, and they will keep giving big invitation rounds of around the same number for the next 4 months as well. And we would see the points cutoff getting lower and lower as well. And people who've done bachelors may start getting invitations, as well as people with masters. All of the people with the masters get invited in the next couple of invitation rounds. So obviously, yeah. So if you are sitting in WA and have completed your 2 years of study, I think you're sitting in a good place at the moment. All you need is a job offer letter or work experience in your nominated occupation. So yeah, in general stream, as I said, people got invited with very less points as well, but the criteria is a little hard to meet, where you have to have 1 year of work experience or 3 years of overseas work experience. This was the general thing that is going on with WA at the moment. We are hoping that the next round would be very soon. It normally happens on the 3rd Thursday of each month. It could be either I'm not sure. It hasn't come out until yet, so it could be next week sometime. Well, after the processing time of WA state is very fast at the moment as well, considering after the last invitation round, they are actually requesting further documents from the applicants after around 2 to 3 weeks. So the processing is pretty fast, and hopefully people who get approved will get the invitation from the department very soon and will be able to lodge their 190 visa applications. Well, I'll just briefly touch on the Queensland state nomination criteria as well. Under Queensland, the graduate stream is currently closed. The working stream is currently closed as well. But it's going to reopen in April. So working in Queensland. So under the working in Queensland stream, you either have to have your occupation in the priority list, which is the Department of Home Affairs priority migration list, which contains occupations like software engineers, mechanical engineer, registered nurses, and other. Or you are working in the critical skill or sector for the 491 visa. So you have to be working in Queensland in these occupations for the past 6 months to become eligible for the 190 visa. Or if you are nominating yourself for a 499 visa, you should have been living and working in regional Queensland for at least 3 months prior to lodging your EOI. Yeah, so the date of effect of the EOI, the date of submission of the EOI, you should have fulfilled the work requirement before that date. And obviously, you have to have the prior work experience. If you get invited, you will also have to show that you've got a full-time contract of 12 months in Queensland or regional Queensland, depending on whether you've been invited for 190 or 491. And so, but at the moment, as I said, this stream is also closed. You can put up an EOI if you think you can meet the criteria of the work experience, and you'll get the future contract, and it will reopen in April. And hopefully everybody whose occupation is on the list will get invited. The small business owner is again open for regional Queensland, where you have to have a business set up. You have to invest $100,000 in the business. You have to run the business for 6 months or more. You have to have one employee hired in that business who's an Australian citizen or permanent resident, and who should at least be doing part-time job in that business for at least 6 months. So if you think you can fulfill this criteria, you can nominate yourself in the small business owner stream in regional Queensland as well. Let us take some questions now. If you can just bear with me for a minute. Yeah, I cannot see.
That's okay. I think we can address them once they come up. Yeah, there were a couple of questions about Victoria state sponsorship. So yeah, so guys, if you are working in a digital and critical sector, there was a question about the digital sector. We can check the eligibility. And yeah, about your, because in regional area, you must be working for 3 months and living there for 3 months. We can also discuss about the New South Wales, because a lot of questions come up about the New South Wales eligibility. Like we discussed, the minimum score has to be 65. Currently, New South Wales is not inviting people who are not residing in New South Wales. So you will only be invited if you're currently residing in New South Wales at the moment. New South Wales 190, they have a long list of occupations. If you're residing in New South Wales, we will check your eligibility. If you're not residing in New South Wales and you have your visa left, you can always try applying for jobs there, and then we can guide you through how in futurely you might be eligible for the state sponsorship. Now, coming to the other regional areas, Tasmania, Northern Territory, they have their own separate criterias. The Tasmania which is another regional area for 491. They have different streams where you can apply for state sponsorship. They have the graduate stream. If you have graduated from there, then they have a different stream where if you are working in Tasmania. They also have a separate skill list for overseas applicants, and plus for overseas applicants if you have a job offer. So people who are not residing in Australia and they have their skilled, they are skilled, they are educated, they are qualified, and they have their occupation in the skill list, we will check your eligibility. And if you have a job offer in Tasmania, you might be eligible to apply for the 491, which is the 5 years provisional visa to live there in the regional area. Now, for the graduate requirements, you must have lived in the state for at least 1 year. So showing your bills and lease agreements. If your last course of study was before 30th of June 2021, if it was after, then again, you must be living in there for 1 year. You do the full-time course and your course should be registered for at least 40 weeks. So we will have to check the courses as well, whether your course is registered for the crack course registered for 40 weeks, and then you will be eligible for the graduate requirements. People who have not graduated from there, if you are working in Tasmania for minimum 6 months, you might be eligible to apply for the Tasmania state sponsorship as well. Your employment must be full-time, minimum of 35 hours. The good thing is that you can also combine 2 part-time jobs. So you're not necessarily that you should be doing only 1 job. You can combine 2 jobs or 3 jobs, and then that combines that week for 35 hours minimum. The business that you are going to work with, it must show that there is a need of the position as well. So that is another separate criteria. And the employment, they should be offer you the at least 12 months contract. So that job must be ongoing for 12 months, not for 3 months or 6 months. There are some jobs that are excluded, like supermarkets, service stations, Uber, taxi driving, and their food courts. They're not, you guys, then those occupations are not eligible if you're working in that area. If you're subcontracting as a cleaning business, unfortunately, that area is also not acceptable. Apart from those, if you're working in any occupation, the good thing is it not necessarily has to be in your nominated occupation. It can be in other areas as well. So Tasmania is also a good option for people who are working there and living there, or Tasmania graduates. We are hoping for another maybe June and July, there must be other occupations, because Australia is trying to fill in the skill shortages of other occupations as well. So not necessarily health and critical sector, like for example, Tasmania, Northern Territory, they don't restrict themselves for health and critical sector. So things are being positive, and we are hoping that Victoria and New South Wales also open up for more occupations. Now we can address some questions if they have, touch up on different areas. I'll check if there's any question.
Well, I don't think we have any questions
at the moment. Yeah, because the general eligibility we have already discussed. And if you guys have any questions, you can always contact us. Rajan is a registered migration agent in Perth, and I'm based in the Melbourne Collins Street office. I'm a registered migration agent too. we are being positive, and we always try to find a pathway for the client. If you have your visa left, or even if your visa is expiring, you can contact us for other opportunities of visas as well. I think we can finish the session now. There's a question. We have another question here. When offshore will open Victoria under 491 subclass, can I get invitation for 95 points? I'm applying for facilities manager. So Suchin, for Victoria 491, they're only inviting candidates in the health and critical sector, digital sector, or your occupation is assisting in the economic recovery. Now, with the 491, we will have to check whether have you got a job offer, or if you are applying as a facilities manager, whether your company has got anything to do with anything associated to do with health and critical sector, or for example, if you get a job in a hospital as a facility manager or a medical center as a facilities manager. So we can definitely check that which part of regional area you're applying for. Let's check your skill assessment. What have you submitted in your previous work experience? If not Victoria 491, we can look at other states as well. So you can send us your resume or book a consultation with us, and we'll be more than happy to assist you and look for the options as well. So yeah, so like I said, even if you are not, your occupation is not as a nurse or a doctor or a bio, like a life scientist, or you're not a PhD graduate, that does not mean that you will not be eligible to apply or you cannot get invited. If you are working in a different occupation, but your business is anything to do with those critical sectors, you must apply for the Victoria State sponsorship. Okay, let me check if there's any other questions. And if we have missed out any other question, you guys can ask later, and we are more than happy to address them later as well. Okay.
I don't think we have anything at the moment.
That's fine. Sure, I think we can thank you everyone for, and thank you Rajan for that informative session about Perth and Queensland.
Thank you.
Yeah, no worries. Thank you.
Have a good day.